the gun argument, the Second Amendment, the NRA. As a Canadian, I see no sense in the right to bear arms. That isn't part of the way we live up here. We have a gun registry. To get a carrying permit, you have to go through a screening process. Your criminal background is checked. Your neighbors are checked. Whether you're a police officer or not, when I was a police officer and I wanted to carry my own off-duty weapon, I had to apply for a carrying permit.
Right.
My weapon that was assigned to me or from the department, I could carry across Canada, no problem, because it was my police issue weapon. But
sure.
When I bought my own personal weapon, I had to go through a complete background check, and it's not that easy to get. Not everybody gets a carrying permit, whether you've got a clean record or not. You have to show just cause.
Right.
So what is your opinion of the Second Amendment? Do you find it?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's look at why the Second Amendment was drafted in the first place.
Okay.
It was because of the fact that in American history, when we were fighting for our independence, basically one of the things that Britain did was they sent in the redcoats in order to do a gun grab to make sure that the colonists were disarmed, so that way they were powerless. And so, therefore, the Second Amendment was drafted in order to protect that right. Now, the other thing that you look at is looking at the studies as far as crime rates are concerned. The states that have a CHL provision, which you go through a background check, you go through proper channels in order to obtain a weapon and so forth and so on, have a lower crime rate because of the fact that criminals are not going to gamble with somebody who may be carrying a weapon.
Right.
And, yet you see the highest crime rates in Washington, D.C., Chicago, places like that. And it's because of the fact that they have gun-free zones, and the only ones that have guns other than the police are the criminals.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny because the law at times doesn't make sense. Like when I remember when I started in the police force, we were using 38s, and
right.
we were going up against with people with high-powered weapons.
Right. Yeah.
Like, excuse me, is that armor piercing? Oh shoot, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you hear the stories about what happened in Florida, that they tried to turn it into a racial matter, and then you had the events in Denver at the theater. You had another event at another theater where a former was it Florida? The second one?
It was Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah,
yes.
Colorado. I'm sorry. It's like, what will it take before people realize, hey, when the Second Amendment was written, there wasn't these massive weapons of destruction that we have now.
Right.
I can understand a shotgun. I can understand, everything has its limitations. But do you really need to have a society where just because it was written so many years ago that it's part of the what is it? The Constitution? The Second Amendment, that you have the right to bear arms. Hey, I agree that you have the right to bear arms, but do you need to carry a weapon with you all the time? I think it's a little ridiculous.
Well, you don't need to carry a weapon with you all the time, I would think. But I mean, at the same time, it's insurance. It's one of those things that I kind of look at. It's better to have it and not need it rather than to need it and not have it. And it's just because of the fact that the culture down here is a little bit different, and the criminals are a lot more brazen. Not only that, here it is Texas is also a border state. Mm-hmm. We have a huge crime problem with the Mexican drug gangs like the Zetas, MS-13, and the like. And you go down to Laredo and all that stuff, and they're carrying around military-style weapons. I mean, these are the gangbangers who are doing this, and the people are in fear for their lives. And it's interesting when people talk about the police response. Mm-hmm. When seconds counts. The police are minutes away. And so people want they want the assurance to be able to defend themselves. If I were carrying a weapon, I wouldn't carry it everywhere that I would want. That I would need. I wouldn't carry it everywhere.
Eric, get off the train tracks.
You mean I can't do my Superman jump on the air?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, shoot. All right.
You know,
Anyways,
I believe that the Army should be put in place as a backup to the police. I know they're not supposed to, but I think
lots of comitatus.
right. But what it comes down to is a war.
Yeah.
You're at war with organized crime down there and the cartel.
Yeah.
So I think that if the gangs were put out of business one way or another, and the illegal traffic of drugs from Mexico into the United States was curtailed using whatever means necessary, send a strict message, send a hard message, send a few bodies back.
Well, and that's what our politicians are not willing to do. Our government, in my opinion, is pretty much spineless. There's a lot of rhetoric, but the facts as the situation as it stands speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Our borders are not only porous, I mean they're wide open, and so therefore we've got the drug trafficking. We look at Fast and Furious. We've even got government participation in this sort of thing. So the corruption goes all the way upstairs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Is the drug problem as prevalent in Russia as it is in the United States?
From what I understand, yes. As a matter of fact, there's this new drug that's basically, I think, a heroin derivative called crocodile. That's especially deadly. It does some really nasty stuff to you. And you look at Russia, and yeah, I mean, especially after the fall of the so-called fall of the Soviet Union, you had the mafia running the whole thing. And from what I understand from people who have been there recently, they say that the mafia still runs things. So yeah, I mean the problem with crime and drugs and weapons and stuff like that is just as bad over there, if not worse.
Tell me, the legalization of marijuana for medicinal purposes, and I'm being very liberal with that word, because if you go to the right doctor with a headache, you'll get a prescription for medicinal marijuana. Do you think this is going to increase the illicit drug trade, or is it going to start to ease off of the mainstream drugs?
I think it's going to ease off because if you look at history again, I mean, history is the predominant thing that you have to go with. I mean, you look at prohibition when alcohol was banned, you saw the crime go skyrocketing. When it was legalized again, it went back down. I think that it's legalizing at least marijuana and soft drugs like that is going to be an easement of these tensions.
All right, stand by, bud. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Erik Stearns is our special guest. From the streets of Austin, Texas. No, he's not a streetwalker, Craig. Lord, I don't know what I did to deserve him, but I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Joyce with the X Zone, and it's your weekly psychic astrology report, the week of April 6th. Rash decisions and impulsive conversation may be the norm this week all the way through April 23rd. However, when it comes to romance, this week promises a fairy tale ending for everyone, or at least a perception of one. Tension in your social life and with finances might try to get the best of you, but fortunately, if there's one place you can find solace, it's with your home and family. Expect life to go at a different speed with Venus in mellow Pisces and Mercury in the quick mode of Aries, so pace yourself. On Monday, communication planet Mercury enters Aries, where it will remain until the 23rd of April. With the planet of thoughts and ideas in fast-paced Aries, you'll bet you can have a stronger ability to think on your feet and react with decisions to do anything life throws your way. Unfortunately, you will have the conviction that you may not have precision. Unfortunately, while you will have conviction, you may not have precision. That's because Aries is known for jumping headfirst into situations without actually thinking things through. The bull in the china shop. So be aware. The hurry up and I want it now feeling helps to get your body moving, but it can produce mental overload. On Tuesday, the Sun-Mars opposition brings a difficult mix. For one thing, you'll want to move ahead with a plan that will affect you and a partner, be it business or personal. The trouble is that this opportunity or scheme doesn't appear to be thought out. So if you proceed, it could be poorly executed and your partner might resist the idea entirely. Frustrating for sure, but it will be a gentle reminder that a relationship isn't all about you. It's about connecting and compromise. By Friday, life becomes enchanting. The love planet Venus embraces Neptune to remind us that loving unconditionally is the only way to truly love someone. You may have high hopes on the romance department on this day, and yes, some of you will be disappointed, but the hopeless romantic in you will declare that it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Saturday is good for work, cleaning, sharing, and healthy food. With Venus in Pisces for the rest of April, it's a good time to make some time for your psychic, spiritual well-being. Pisces helps you burst illusions to open to a higher vision. 3 famous people with Venus in Pisces have put their ideas out there about love. They are cosmopolitans Helen Gurley Brown, Playboys Hugh Hefner, and the one and only Casanova.
Visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. Welcome back, everyone. www.xzoneradiotv.com is the website if you'd like to catch up on any of the shows that you may have missed. That's www.xzoneradiotv.com. Erik Stearns is my special guest. And Erik, speaking about Russia, we've spoken about Flight 370, Fort Hood, a little bit, the USSR and the Ukraine. But how come nobody's talking about North Korea anymore?
Well, and that's another thing that we're being distracted from. As a matter of fact, there are latest reports saying that North Korea and South Korea are literally shelling each other, and that they're exchanging live fire with each other. That contention is now becoming hot. So I think it's media mass distraction from the real issues at hand and keeping us unaware.
What is it in the news these days, Erik, that has you most concerned? Like, I know that you've got your fingers on the pulse of many news works, many news sources, and delivery systems. What is it that you, Erik Stearns, are looking at and saying, this is something to watch?
Oh man, I don't think it's any one thing. It's all the above. It's people going absolutely wild, especially with this Fort Hood thing. You've got North Korea and South Korea going after it, looking at China trying to annex more islands in its air defense system, and in its contentions with Japan. I'm looking at this and